You want to stand out with your client results. And one of the things that will help you do this is to stop giving the plain Jane vanilla self-care practices that can be Googled or in this day and age, chat GPT'd. And so, how do you do this right now? When a one-to-one client comes to you and says, okay, I have all of these symptoms. I want to prioritize myself and take care of myself better. How are you, what is your process like with regards to helping your clients to do this or figure this out for themselves that makes it personal for them, right? I know that as practitioners, we have our go-to things to help us to take care of ourselves, right? And each of us will have something that will work for us. Are you using the things that work for you and just copy pasting it for your clients? That's not a bad thing. That's neither right nor wrong. If you truly want to do stand out with your result, you want to be able to really custom tailor that to your client, especially if you're doing one-to-one work, right? Because that's the point of one-to-one work. If you're doing a group, then it's a bit different, but we're talking about one-to-one work right now. So how are you going to do this? What is your process like? Personally, especially since I teach nervous system training as well. If a client were to come to me and say, Fritz, I just don't have the motivation and spark anymore. I used to be so vibrant and high achieving, and I used to want to do all of these things. But now I just don't have the motivation. I don't have the drive. I'm tired all the time just based on the symptoms that that client has given me, I'm not going to give them any of the traditional relaxation and nervous system things that are out there because they're not very specific, right? So, in my mind, if a client comes to me and says that they lack motivation, they're low, I'm going to specifically tailor the practices that they're asking for based on what their state is, right? And if you've done any of my nervous system trainings, that those particular symptoms that I just mentioned maps to the dorsal vagal state of the nervous system called shutdown. And when a client is in shutdown and is displaying these symptoms, the traditional practices out there are not really going to work, such as shaking, right? For example, something like shaking is going to make that the symptoms of that client worse, or even breath practices, the 4-7-8 practices and just slowing the breath down. That is actually not going to work for someone who's stuck in shutdown because their energy levels are already low. They need to be upregulated, which requires a specific approach with regards to their breath as well. So if you want the somatic practice for that, comment shut down below, and I will give you that very specific exercise for that symptom. And just based on me talking about it, what are you thinking of now, right? You're already instantly seeing me as an expert and know what the fuck I'm talking about because I do. And this is, what I teach. So if you are already like you already have a client in front of you and you custom make practice for them, then you're going to be up here in terms of authority, which just means that they're going to trust you more. They're going to open up with you more. They're more likely to give you referrals because you have been that expert status in your mind, right? And this is why I always focus on specificity and why I'm always going to be highly against scripts and techniques and even the traditional self-care practices out there because everyone is different, right? So you want to explore what happens inside the free-flowing hypnosis training that we had recently. The demo client we had talked about enjoying people, enjoying the company of others in person, right? And so if she were to come to me and to be my one-to-one client, I would suggest more of like a community aspect and helping her to see what type of community based activities that are social in nature would help her as part of self-care practice. And I mean, we did that, we covered that. But that's exactly what I would do. Like, for example, for me, that would not fly. I consider myself as an introvert and being in person with people it's not really the best cup of tea for me. It would create more dysregulation in my system, right? I'm very specific with who I hang out with. Um, So that particular advice for me will not help, but it's very helpful for this client, right? And so really the point of the matter is if you just take that extra step to get to know your clients a little bit more and tailor that approach, that is what's going to help you stand out. It's going to be more effective because you actually have that knowledge to be like, this is what the client is like, this is what works for them. And you can help then use the knowledge that you have right now to customize a plan for them instead of just assuming that all your clients are going to want that guided audio meditation, right? Not everyone is, right? And so knowing those practices and really getting to know your client is going to step up your A game and level up your not only your client results, but your expertise status in their minds, which is just a win-win, right? So how do you currently do this with your clients right now? What is your particular practice, share them below. Otherwise, I'll see you around.